Welcome to Kyloe Un'moo'ted. I am your host, Rob Mann. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for answering, even though I
Fantastic,
can't hear
Rob.
you. Paul, I appreciate you. And Layla is very excited in the background here, if you can hear her shaking around. Today with me, I have two Kylovians, Paul Sabatino, the solutions consultant for the US, and James Baker, VP of delivery for the US as well. What's going on, fellas? Say a quick hello.
Hey, good morning, all. I'm Paul Sabatino, solutions consultant for Kyloe North America. Happy to be part of the conversation.
And hi guys, I'm James Baker. So the accent doesn't sound like it, but I do live in the States. I've been here for just over 9 months now. So it's all still pretty fresh, but the voice is staying British for the moment.
Yes, he's doing a great job. He's kind of like the reverse Ted Lasso. He's playing on a bunch of like club soccer teams and kicking their butts. Well, guys, we're excited to join you today. At Kyloe, we've been talking about how to get more value out of the Bullhorn tools that you know and love. And one of those things is Bullhorn automation as well as Bullhorn. And with that in mind, what we really started to see is that number one, data quality is super important. Number two, sometimes people don't know where to start and they just need a little help. They may not be big enough to have some of those non-revenue generating roles in place, like a Bullhorn admin or a business analyst. So what do you do? Like you need to have those tools to stay up to date and to stay competitive. So at Kyloe, we decided that we needed to give an offering to you guys. So we have a brand new service offering that's called Connected Automation. So we're really excited. So I brought two experts on that are going to be able to talk to you about it. And let's get right into it, guys. So first and foremost, automation, the idea of it is very easy to say. You're like, okay, if this happens in the CRM, then go do that. But the reality is it's not that easy to actually implement, right? So James, what are we seeing and like what are the challenges that you see? Because all you do is implement Bullhorn solutions, including automation. So what are you seeing out there in the field?
So I think really just agreeing with what you're saying about the need for the data to be right. But what we're also finding a lot with automation is you've got a tool that can do 1,000,001 things. So where do you start? What's most important at that point? Do I have the internal knowledge? Do I have any marketing function or background that I can sort of lean on for content and for sort of business development and client-facing emails? But at the same time, you need to have that hat of, I want to automate some data updates. I want to get my data in a good state. So we're finding a lot of people get to a position where they start, make great inroads into it, and then you hit a point where it's just, right, what next? What am I doing? I've dipped into data updates, I've dipped into internal notifications, but really just not being able to sort of step back and be able to take a look at the bigger picture and put in sort of strategy rather than, I've got an idea, let's build an automation. So that's where we found that a lot of the consultancy side comes in, is being able to go in and say, look, it's okay, it's daunting. You're looking at a system that can do 5 or 6 things. You might only have experience in one of those things. You might have experience in none of them. It's rare to find someone that's sort of had those 3 or 4 hats over the course of a career and is also in the staffing world.
Yeah, like
So
marketing, email marketing, sales enablement, marketing enablement, all of those things are required.
yeah, absolutely. And even just the internal politics side of things, of actually, I need to balance this between pestering my consultants versus doing things for them, and really allowing that degree of control. And so change management comes into it as well. And it's sort of a wide variety of things. And we found that often having someone that can come in and say, hey, appreciate the road you're going down. We've been through this with tens of customers in the past. This is what we've seen has worked well in the past. These are some challenges that people have found. Let me share that kind of knowledge and experience with you guys so that it's a more streamlined process and ultimately you get more out of the tool.
Got it. Paul, on the technical side and also, from selling it, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I think what I've seen or what kind of comes up when people ask, how should we approach? I mean, automation, I think you really need to apply both a macro and a micro economic lens with it, right? The macro, what are you ultimately looking to achieve? How is it going to interact with everything else going on in your business? What's the big picture? And then the micro being, does your data support the automation that you ultimately want to carry out? Or maybe your data is bad, but you're unsure, okay, how do we go about correcting that data? Where do we even start? And I think that's often what we hear most often is, well, we know what's wrong, but how do we get started? How do we actually correct it, and fix this to put us on, solid footing. So that's what kind of got us thinking about these different packages and services, and what we could do follow on, for that next phase.
Yep, I like it. So James, you're up next.
Yeah, and I guess sort of around automation not being a one-time thing. And obviously, we've got Christmas just around the corner as sort of one-time event. So what have you seen that companies need to do to maximize their ROI?
Yeah, so a couple things. So number one, training is also not a one-time thing. So if you're just training your consultants when they jump on for the first time or they're onboarded, that's not really training. That's just you telling them what you want to do, but not making it a habit. And automation kind of falls in the same way, in that you may not need to look at every automation every day or every week. You may need to look at the results and the data that you're getting from them on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis, depending on the automation and the amount of resources, whether that's human resource, like a human person actually going into the tool to look at it, or just in general, like managing the tool, right? You might tweak an email once a month or once a quarter or once a year, or a workflow, right? If it's a post-hire, like, hey, you have an interview tomorrow. You don't really need to change that text message. But little things that are a little less granular than that, you might want to tweak and test and play with. So it is, like I say, your ATS and your CRM is a living, breathing thing that needs to be nurtured. The way that you communicate, the language you use, how you communicate needs to be at least looked at, considered, and maybe tweaked. At least once a month or once a quarter, depending on the amount of time you have to do that. So it doesn't need to be every day. It's probably better, but it cannot be just like set and forget for most things.
Yeah, definitely not. It is living. It is breathing. You have to take care of it. You have to own, the product. Similar to anything, you could buy or enroll in a gym membership, but you still have to go to the gym. It's a tool or a meaning, to get you, in better shape or better health or to perform better, but you still have to own it. And constantly looking at it, adjusting your automation depending on the results. Are you doing kind of A/B testing? Are you constantly thinking about what can and should be automated? You could automate, it's all looking at your manual and redundant processes that are happening over and over that are predictable. You can automate one of those, but if you kind of stop there, it's a drop in the bucket, as far as time saved. You need to be looking at all of those manual processes that can and should be automated, and it's kind of compounding time saved that is going to ultimately impact and increase the ROI you see on your investment. And also,
podcast title that I have during that.
Yeah.
Owning it. So I'm going to stop myself though. Go ahead, Paul.
But constantly, being aware, creating new automations or marketing campaigns as your market changes, right? Like think back to the start of COVID, people were putting out different packages or promotions, and communicating, but as things have gotten back to normal, you don't want all that stuff still going out. You need to adjust. What's next? How are we going to communicate?
Text what your COVID status is every week.
Right. That was a thing for a hot minute.
It
was turned off, within probably the first 60, 90 days, by most that deployed something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll flip back to you, Rob. If you could only have one automation, what would that be and why?
So I think anything post placement, whether you're contract or perm, anything that's asking for a review, referral, or to ask for, if they're on contract, when their assignment's going to run out. Having that set up is going to deliver. I mean, I just said, 3 R's, right? You can remember it really easy. The first one is re-engagement, which is not post-hire. But asking for a review so you know how you're doing, so you can celebrate it, get testimonials, put them on your website. Ask for referrals are their most frequent source of highly qualified talent that you're going to get, especially because the people you place are good and they're going to know good people. And they might have might have other job openings that are coming there. So referrals don't mean just candidates. It could also mean other jobs that are going to come up in that company. And then redeployment, we got to get better at it. So that's my simple. And anything post-hire that's going to ask for those 3 things. James, you want to jump in?
Well, I guess if you've brought the R's, I'll bring the C's. In that, for me, it's about, and it sort of harks back to the talent grid results Bullhorn published recently. It's a very candidate driven market at the moment, very, very candidate led market. So what we're really seeing is that we need that clear, concise, consistent communication with candidates. And with the emphasis really on consistency there. It's about sort of setting the tone for communication and then just keeping people informed, showing you care as well. And one of the biggest frustrations, I'm sure, when we've been there in the past, sort of job hunting, you send your resume out to 10 different agents and you hear back from one or two.
Responding shows caring.
Yeah, exactly that. And just keeping people in the loop, just saying like, hey, nothing's moved on this. It's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, nothing's changed on the job. Your job submission status hasn't swapped. So I just want to send you a quick email saying like, hey, haven't forgotten about you. This isn't dead. It's still a live role. I'm chasing feedback. Or through to sort of closing out a job. Someone else has got it. Unfortunately, client's gone with someone else in this instance. However, here's a link to a load of match jobs that are on our website. Give me a call if you want to discuss feedback in more detail. So just being able to do that and not disappear. Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Paul, what do you got?
Yeah, I think James is right. I mean, communication is key. Thinking back to my time on the desk, biggest thing you'd hear from candidates is that a lot of times recruiters don't want to tell them it was a no. Closing them out or communicating that it was a no is better than nothing. But I think back, what are the things that I was supposed to be doing or we all should be doing that we don't? And it's off kind of, the post placement, whether that be automatically updating the candidate title, the availability date, the status, or even on the flip side, if I'm on the sales for replacement, updating the company status, right? It's going to allow you to better control maybe external messaging that you want to send specific to your prospects versus, your existing customer base. And the way to automate that is to make sure that everything is true.
All right. So we're not a company that likes to just tell you about problems. We like to solve them for you. So fake drum roll. Paul, what do we have going on live? We're going live today.
So we are excited to introduce connected automation. Maybe you look at your data and automations and you say, girl, I'm about to have a panic attack. Or I did the work, it didn't work. Then Kyloe's connected automation package, it's your jam. I mean, you might be thinking, is this software, Paul, or is it a service? I'm about to tell you, it's really both. There's a few things we've picked up along the way that led us to think about how we serve the Bullhorn community and automation. And it's really the fact that when it comes to automation, an in-house expert tends to be non-existent, or lacking with the organization, lacking time, or someone who can see the big picture. So when you hear connected automation by Kyloe, think along the lines of more of a managed service type approach. So you'll have access to Kyloe's certified Bullhorn automation experts. We'll take the time to step back and do some process review and recommendations based on your existing workflow, right? Because we really don't know what pieces to put on the board until we know what game it is we're playing. It's understanding your current state, future state, and what's stopping you from getting there that we're going to spend time before we then turn to some of the tools to help with your data management and data cleansing, addressing duplicates, which can easily be called out by Bullhorn automation, but then, addressed with our tools, and then some exclusive content, that we'll provide. So just a few examples, but hopefully enough to keep the conversation going. Would love to hear from you afterwards to dive a bit deeper. And I guess, speaking of Bullhorn automation experts, I'll toss it over to James for a few comments on his end.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I think, and one of the reasons that it's pitched as a much longer term thing is, whilst you're not outsourcing the function, we're not saying, hey, give us a stack of cash and we'll come back in 12 months. Here's all your automations. Here's everything wonderful that we've done for you. It's not that piece at all. It's really the consultancy. And as Paul said, sitting down and going through and doing process discovery and saying, okay, where are we right now? And why are we where we are? Where do we want to go from here? And then looking back and some of it might be really simple, quick wins. So we might be super busy in the first month or so, and then we're letting things tick over. But it's really just having that kind of arm around the shoulder, I suppose, of someone that says, look, what we're doing here is really good, but let's not lose sight of the main focus that we've got, which is, be it our candidate comms or be it business development or whatever it is. And whilst I'll be the person you'll largely be dealing with, and so my background, I've only ever worked in the staffing industry. been with Kyloe for 4.5 years and have implemented over 100 customers onto ATS, done lots of onboarding, 20 plus bullhorn automation implementations. So you get that wealth of my experience, but more importantly than that, you get my box of tricks and you get the 200 years of bullhorn experience that Kyloe hold. You get me being able to lean on data engineers, project managers, solutions architects. We've got a customer base of really interactive clients, and you're not just getting, hey, we said we'd build you 5 automations, here's your 5 automations, sign the check. We are part of your organization now. For the period of this, we're coming in, we're invested in this. We want you to do the best, because ultimately we're looking at that much longer term consultancy piece.
No, I agree. I think it's fantastic. And I know that's been something that people have needed since I was selling Here Fish back in 2019. So really excited to see Kyloe delivering it. Paul, James, thank you guys so much. Guys, it is Halloween, and I would be remiss if I did not celebrate a little bit with you. So hold on 1 second for me here, because we got a little background stuff. And I am going to be Harry Potter and dress my dog up like Dobby today. So I have my Gryffindor.
So am I lined up right?
And I want to, so Paul, what we're trying to do is, add that emoji that turns Paul into a mouse, but we cannot do it. So Paul,
I think I'm lined up with my horns now.
Oh, you
Am I
are?
good?
Yeah, yes, we did it.
There we
All
go.
right, guys. Well, thank you. If you want to learn more, and I have a really cool graphic for you guys, so I'm just kind of slacking down here. Check out the banner below. If I tap it with the wand, maybe it'll take you there. And if you've never been to Orkney, which is where Kyloe is based, it is a pretty magical place. So it's not Hogwarts, but it's damn close. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, James. Let us know if you have any questions. Check out the website, www.kyloepartners.com, connected recruiting. And happy Halloween.